Stacey Herbert to give us more of what's happening out there. Stacey.
Max, well, Europe may ban Goldman Sachs, but according to my first headline, it's too late. Albert Edwards, at 500% net liabilities to GDP, it is too late to prevent the collapse of the G-7. Greece is irrelevant. We are all now insolvent. So this is Albert Edwards from Societe Generale.
Okay.
And he's saying that included unfunded liabilities, and if you take a look at this chart, you'll see that most governments are already insolvent with debt to GDP ratios closer to 500% on average. So if you look at the chart, you'll see that Greek total liabilities on and off balance sheet amount to 800% of GDP. All of the EU is at 470%, and the US is over 500%. He says there's no other way out but to default for all of these countries.
Well, yeah. You know, what they're finding out now are the incredible debts that were heretofore never mentioned. Part of the so-called shadow banking system, or the dark pools, or the dark exchanges. And now without that bond market rally that they had for 25 years to hide and paper over all of their financial terrorist sins, all these dead bonds are floating to the surface. And now they're having to realize that the deflationary pressure of having an economy based entirely on bogus debt sold to them by the financial terrorists at Goldman Sachs is something to truly reckon with.
Well, also, if you look at that chart, you'll see that all the bars on the right are the off-balance sheet debts, and those dwarf the ones that they publicly acknowledge.
Right, and meanwhile, the bankers are at the bars down there at the Hanover Place and Wall Street getting hammered, drinking their weight in scotch, hoping the whole thing just goes away.
So, Societe Generale, Albert Edwards, he concludes that there is really no way out of our current debt situation that does not trigger a major market-moving upheaval. Ultimately, economic prosperity over the past decade has been a sham, a totally unsustainable Ponzi scheme built on a mountain of private sector debt.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I'm buying the ruble. Let's go higher, baby.